Hello. Today, I'd like to go over a form identity and how it's discussed by spiritual leaders around the world. They often are either unaware of form identity, and if they are aware of form identity, there seems to be only a few people who are spiritually aware. We we know them as Alan Watts or Eckhart Tolle. They are in a class of their own, and I don't have much, if any, disagreement with their philosophical teachings. They're pretty profound in nature. Um, you don't find a lot of these teachings out there, but we do find them in our Stoic lessons from many of the great teachers throughout time. You can find them practically everywhere. Once you start looking, everyone from Shakespeare to um, Julius Caesar, um, Epictetus, uh, Plato, Socrates, Jesus, Buddha. They're all the same teachings, you see. And what they're telling us is that worry serves no real purpose. It doesn't. You could do it all day, and it won't really do much for you. Planning planning works. You can bring what you want done in the future now and present it to yourself in a way that you can organize it so that a very likely outcome, the highest potential outcome, could occur. You can look at these these ideas that are taught through these spiritual lessons as a new formula, new mathematical formula, or new scientific explanation for the universe, or for any specific effect that we're aware of. And what it says is this: you give something space to be. You give it this space to exist without judgment. And the highest potential outcome can rise up. And so, judge not, this lesson, this judge not, let it be, accept what is, the isness. These things are great lessons. We prepare ourselves every day with worry. We prepare ourselves every day with fear-based thinking, and the way you can get out of it, of course, there's multiple ways. You bring your attention towards a sound or your own sensations, your own physical sensations. And I can attest that these teachers have found this, and it works. And in the words of Eckhart Tolle, your ego loses its ability to make you miserable. So there's that. And so don't be so cruel to one another. And of course, you start by allowing yourself that space to be as well. And as you give yourself space to be, you'll recognize those same egoic patterns in others, and you can let them be if your awareness rises to that level of non-judgment for them. And this is the definition of love. Love is giving something space to be, letting it grow as it is. There are lessons in so many songs and texts throughout history that point to this, as Alan Watts and Eckhart Tolle and many other great teachers have pointed. Eckhart Tolle said, I know many, what does he say? I know many Zen masters, all of them cats, or something like that. So we have cats now. I don't even know where we got them from. But a cat doesn't add to its suffering. It takes it, kind of, and it doesn't sit there and add to its guilt for whatever it might have had to do, or what it thought, or what it felt. And so you can do this. You can go inside and sense your body. You can sense the sensation of your physical self. And it will bring with it a lot of joy, actually. Doesn't take a whole lot. A deep breath, some attention inside. Find those senses. Enjoy them. And life is challenging. So once you've overcome one challenge, perhaps another one will come right in. And the best thing you can do is love that moment, love that situation. Thank the universe for your experience with that situation. Perhaps I should have started off this conversation with a little information on the physical level of who I am. My name is Christopher Soyce, and I was born in 1985. My father was a veteran in the Vietnam War, and when he came back, he was only in our life for a few years before he had somewhere else to go. And my mom, she was a factory worker most of my life. Worked in one factory, and we grew up here in the Midwest of the United States. And as everyone else has experienced, life is challenging for all living things, and it was no different for me. Life was very challenging and difficult. I went through drug addiction at an early age. Most of my life was a lot like what I thought everyone else's was like, horrible inside. Even as a child, there was a lot of shame and guilt to go around. And by the time I reached my teenage years, I was addicted to basically everything, especially thought. And then I experienced thought in an addictive way so much that I enjoyed the suffering it brought me. Pretty intense suffering. It's quite a bit of judgment on my part of myself and who I thought I was. and my identity to those thoughts, me thinking I thought them, and I didn't enjoy life. It was not enjoyable. And there were times, moments, and perhaps minutes and hours where the suffering subsided and my attention had gone onto something and I enjoyed doing that, the doing in that thing. But not long before those thoughts would come back and the emotions with them, and they would cause a great deal of suffering in my life to the point in which I don't know if I was ever really suicidal, but I'm sure at times I was close. There were many times when I thought, just like the great teacher Eckhart Tolle, where I thought I couldn't live with myself. And who is the self and who is the I? I don't know if my experience was exactly like his. Mine seemed to be more not so instantaneous as much as it was um, a battle between myself and the authorities. And as far as intellectual and spiritual authorities in my life, my mom being one, she was a strong Christian believer. She did not attend church that often, I imagine, because other people are so challenging. She didn't have it in her to do so. But she raised us boys. My older brother went to live with my grandma, and when he did, I began to have physical palpitations in my heart. Something was affecting my chest, and to a point to where it was very physical. Um, Something that I was dealing with seemed this fear, perhaps, of having this obligation to take care of my mom and my little brother, poverty, um, all the all the suffering associated with form identity was very prevalent in my friends. I didn't know what it was then, but now I can see, I can look back and say, hey, there it was. I skateboarded. I was a skateboarder, so pain was not something I was unfamiliar with. I hurt myself often. I was a big risk taker throughout life. As I got older, I got different jobs, and but I continued to break the law and use and sell drugs, and my addictions grew, right, and I began to have children, and I have three beautiful children now, two of which, my boys, I'm unable to see due to certain restrictions. Mom doesn't want me around, or I can't financially afford to get right now to my oldest boy's where he lives. Um, these things may very well turn around. I don't know. These situations are just that. They're just a situation, and my reaction to them will dictate how it plays out. I don't know all ends, so we'll see. I got to grow up without my father around, and I understand what kind of benefits that comes with and what kind of downfalls that comes with, and some of the pitfalls emotionally associated with that, abandonment and these types of things. And when I was a little older, I was 27, I believe, 28. I began to experience life through my own identity, through my own. I would confide in myself more, not worry so much about what others thought. But it wasn't until I was about 32, I'm 37 now, in my mid 30s, I had a mental break. And everything seemed very clear, right? I was still pretty form identified, and what mattered to me wasn't so much though that I had money or substance or this or that. It was that shaking off the guilt and shame. So I went and I requested to go. Someone had tried to start from the beginning. Someone had tried to run me over with a car for whatever reason. It had something to do with them, I'm afraid, that I was talking to an enemy of theirs, and drunken night turned into some aggressive behavior on their part, and then I ended up running up their car as they tried to run me over and putting my feet through the windshield, only to be given the opportunity to physically harm them when they stuck their head out of their window so they could see and drive off, and not taking it. And it dawned on me at that moment that I didn't want to hurt anyone, no matter what they did to me, because right, they were these thoughts. They were identified with these thoughts, and I wasn't. Or they were reacting to these thoughts that they were having, and I didn't want to play. I didn't want to join in. I didn't want to be more reactive. Uh, I turned myself in for a mental evaluation. And they thought that probably that I wasn't well, but I wasn't in the business of wanting to hurt anyone or harm anyone, and or myself. And ultimately, they let me go and let me go to a psychiatrist outside and outside of the facility. So they released me back into the public. But while I was in there, it dawned on me I had this something rise up the outside of the thought. Something else came through, and it said that it said that that money was just the accountability of energy. And and this was probably an answer to a question that I'd left myself with, and because still form identified, I good or bad, I wanted to make money. I wanted to be in the money to some degree, at least to comfort and take care of my family, and perhaps to help the society as a whole one day. I had no idea. I appreciate society as what it is and where it is and where it's going. So I hold philanthropy in my heart pretty high. I value taking care of one another as best we can pretty high. Um, I became kind of aware while I was in that hospital that suffering was necessary, that it sometimes brought about a change in people, a paradigm shift. And come on, you want to go outside? Okay, she wants to go outside. So I'll leave you with this. This part of my story was once I was given this freedom to go back into the world, I started reading. Right, I started reading everything I could. I was hungry. There was a hunger inside of me for knowledge, and I started reading. And I read Sun Tzu, read The Art of War first, and then I got a hold of a psychology book. Started reading that. Started studying memory and what it was, and emotion, and how that was associated with with memory. And I'm gonna let that cat out real quick. Give me just a second. Oh yeah. And as I began reading, I began falling in love with the different teachers. Emerson. Oh, I fell in love with Voltaire. And of course, I'm not very well educated, so these books didn't come easy to me, right? I had a very slow reader. So, but once I get it, I've really got a hold of it. And I try at least from that point to memorize it and know it all the way through. And there are so many who, even to this day, who are part of my life, who would they they would say, "Look, Chris, you're a failure. You've failed at life, and there is nothing you should be happy about in this life." And thanks to Alan Watts and Eckhart Tolle and Plato and Socrates and so many other great teachers throughout time, Jesus and Buddha, Song Tzu, I can live every day really pretty happy with a sense of joy and wonder that you like read about because I don't identify with these thoughts that I have. I know that when they come and they come fast, right? They judgmental and angry and fearful. They grab a hold of you, and before you know it, you're just in it. You're just in the thought. You are it. This is, you believe this, and that's just how it is. And with it comes a great deal of suffering. And Jesus said there are two commandments: love God, and remember, if the word doesn't work for you, you can change it to something that's referable. That's um, if you don't like the word God, you can use universe. Or so love the universe, love God, and love each other, love your neighbor, love one another. And love, of course, doesn't mean lust or obsession, or to obsess over, possess. Don't try to possess your partner or those you love. Let them be. Let them be them. Let them experience life with as little judgment as you can offer. And this has had a profound effect on my parenting. My daughter probably enjoys it quite a bit. Just to not having a father who's constantly in judgment of her, right? We don't have too many rules around here. Just love the awareness you've been given, that is you. Can't really be given something that you are. Love this awareness that is your presence, that is your awareness to it all and it all. And love one another if you can. Love. Give space to be. And from there, we can begin to heal and grow. And this isn't just on some achievable plane where if you read enough stuff, you get there. For some, it doesn't matter what I would say. It won't matter. There wasn't enough awareness there when you were suffering, or there wasn't enough suffering to bring about the awareness. It doesn't matter what I say. It will sound like gobbledygook, probably. But for some who had suffered, some whose awareness was there before, during, or after they'd suffered to it, and perhaps even those who suffered to such an extent it just cracks them right out of it. This will be profound for you. So just know that in this spiritual realm, there are words only go so far there, right? They have multiple meanings or no meanings, or they point to something different than we find in the physical. And so we must try and be patient with one another when we discuss this stuff. And forgive me, this is one of my first videos, and I'll try and do more. If you like it, that's awesome. You don't have to hit the little like and subscribe button. You don't have to. That's not really what this is for. Feel free to, when you return to your home or wherever your family is, to remember that they're only probably reacting to their thoughts from their level of awareness, and that these teachings are not so hard to learn for some. These things seem to resonate pretty quickly with some, so don't be afraid to explain perhaps that what you're learning about, but at the same time, don't feel obligated to teach if the teachings aren't there to be learned. Right? You can just give that space to be, and through your space, the teaching will be done. You don't have to say a word. Take care, and may peace be amongst you, right? May the kingdom of heaven be amongst you. Let that stillness be in there, be inside of you. Any questions, or please feel free to leave a comment. This is a very amazing time to be alive, and this arising awareness starts to transform us, begins to find its way through us. Take care.